Okay, the math professor is on the air once more. And today we're going to talk about computer-aided manufacturing. No, I'm totally lying. This is, of course, Computer Skills for Engineers class. I was just working on getting ready for another class, of course. All right, once again, we want to open Excel. And create our header. ENGR 1, 2, 3. This is going to be quiz number, should be number 7. And our date is 9/23/2020. All right, so today we're going to talk more about Excel and how we use that. I was fooling around with Excel before class, making sure I knew what I wanted to do, what I want to go into today is how do we prepare a budget in Excel. Kind of an important idea. One thing that I thought back in the day was I never worried about budgeting. I either had money or I didn't have money. Right? So if I had money, I spent it. If I didn't have money, obviously I wasn't spending it. There we go. So I'll put budget and first of all, there's going to be some amount of pay that you're receiving, obviously. What I was going to say earlier was back in the day, I had money or I didn't have money, but then when I got a real job in engineering, all of a sudden I had so much money. I'm like, oh man, I'm rich beyond my wildest dreams of avarice. But what I discovered was, using the idea that I had used before of either having money or not having money, I was running out of money before the end of the month. I worked for Texas A&M at the time, and I got paid once a month. So it was only after I switched to budgeting and saying, all right, so much money goes for this, so much money goes for this, et cetera, down the line, that I got my finances in order and I had money all the time instead of just for a while after the beginning of the month. All right, so on our budget, obviously, the first thing is monthly pay. Right? So, in fact, I'm going to go ahead and insert a row because I'm going to put category here, right? And then I'm going to put amount, and here I'm going to put notes. All right, so I'm going to align the width of the column in column A to be a little wider because I know some of my categories are going to stick out and I don't want them to be cut off. I may have to align the amount column as well. All right, so monthly pay, and just for the sake of argument, we'll say that that amount is equal to $2,000. All right, and then in my notes on my actual budget, I put what days I get paid. Because here at Navajo Tech, we get paid every 2 weeks, which is an unusual scheme. Usually when people say they get paid every 2 weeks, they mean they get paid on the 1st and the 15th, or the 15th and the 30th. But here at Navajo Tech, we really mean every 2 weeks. So my sister, when she was living with me, we actually had a big deal because I said, well, we get paid every 2 weeks. And she says, you mean the 1st and 15th? I said, no, literally every 2 weeks. It took me a long time to convince her that that meant we had 26 pay periods per year instead of 24. Which is what you would get on a 1st and 15th basis. Just because she's an accountant and a CPA, she thinks she's everybody. All right, so in this case, I'm going to say paid on the 1st. Will be the and you know what? It's a good thing that my buddy Joe just called me because I realize now I am not signed in. And so that means anyone who's trying to get in on Zoom is saying, where the hell is that bald guy? Okay. Luckily I sign in often enough that I have to stop and think about how to do it. All right, so here we go, computer skills. Ugh, how embarrassing. I did not sleep well last night, so today I'm kind of like, bleh. Okay, luckily Victoria walked in right when I was doing that, so she's like, okay, business as usual. $16.99, $12.09.
You are in the meeting now. There is one other participant in the meeting.
Okay, so sorry to be late tuning into the meeting here. All right, this time for sure. All right, so here we are. We're doing a budget. One thing that I haven't done is to save my quiz number 7, Whiting, and it's 9/23/2020. Okay, one thing that I've noticed is a lot of you are sending me files and it'll just say quiz number 7, or it'll just or it'll say quiz number 7 and your last name, but not the date, right? We want all three of those elements, or possibly elephants, in every file name. What it is, your name, and the date that it was created. Okay? If it wasn't created the same date that we actually had the class, I'm not worried. I'm worried that you have the date, not that you did it Thursday instead of Wednesday. All right. And actually, I'm going to put one more thing in my title name, and that is budget. All right.
Did we have a quiz number 6? Because I don't recall having a 6.
We may not have had a number 6,
Okay.
but I wouldn't worry about it. If there are missing numbers, what I usually do is I go by attendance.
Okay.
Now, admittedly, attendance is very hard to keep track of in this class because we have people on Zoom, we have people that are watching the video later.
Okay.
But we're doing the best we can to keep track of when people are tuning into class and when they're not. All right, so you can see on my budget, I've done a lot of pontificating, but I've only gotten as far as creating the category, amount, and notes, and putting in my monthly pay, which I'm putting down as theoretically $2,000 per month. Of course, I make more than that, but not a whole hell of a lot more. One of the joys of being a professor is I'm working at about 60% of the best salary I ever made. All right, but I digress.
I like to call that retirement.
This actually is kind of my retirement job. My father, digressing once again, my father, who all my life, I remember him working like 60, 70, 80 hours a week. When he retired, he got a job that was only 40 hours a week. All right, enough digressing though. All right, so what other category are we going to have in our budget? Well, there's a very obvious one, and that is our rent or mortgage. Right? Now, maybe that's not obvious to you. You're living with your family right now, or in some other situation where you're not necessarily paying rent or mortgage,
Or it's paid off.
or it's paid off. But even if it's paid off, you're gonna have to think about some other things in that regard. So I'm just gonna say that rent is $500 a month. But if I just put it in as $500 a month, well, when I get to the part where I add up, that's not gonna work very well. So I need to put it in as equals negative 500.
You can put them in parentheses too.
Well, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna highlight this whole column, and I'm gonna come over here to dollars, and it says accounting number format. If I'm not excited about that, I can put it in currency, but accounting number format is good enough, right? And you'll notice it automatically goes ahead and adds in cents, and it put the 500 in parentheses, which in accounting indicates that it's a negative amount, right? So anything not in parentheses is a positive amount coming in. Anything in parentheses is a negative amount that's going out. All right, and with my rent and mortgage, I go ahead and note the check number.
You're still sectioning his checks? Just kidding.
Well, I'm very worried about identity theft. Right? A lot of people are very cavalier. They do electronic banking. They use their credit card for everything in the universe. Somebody printing a book? I'm hoping that's part of that is actually what I was trying to print out earlier. But anyway, all right, so we've got the rent, mortgage. What else are we gonna have to pay on a monthly basis?
Utilities.
Utilities, good point. All right, so I'm actually gonna put monthly budget here. All right, so utilities. And how much are we going to pay for that? Well, it kind of depends on where you're living. You have a little apartment, you're probably not gonna pay too much in utilities every month. You got a big house, the amount you're gonna pay in utilities is probably higher. So I'm gonna say that's equal to a negative 200. All right, so what other expenses are we gonna have on a monthly basis?
Food.
Food. I usually mark that as food/groceries. Although that's not a good spelling of groceries, let me think. Maybe an ER in there would be appropriate. And y'all may have noticed I eat kind of well, so I actually spend about $500 a month on food and groceries. All right, so what else are we gonna have to pay?
Vehicle, gas.
Maybe a car payment?
Exactly, we might have a car payment. right? So for the sake of, argument, I'll say that's $200. And Victoria's right, we're also gonna have automotive expenses, which I'm gonna say is equal to $150. Right? I don't live that far away.
And insurance.
Insurance, we can include, now one thing is, do you pay your insurance every month? Or do you pay it every 6 months, right? I pay mine every 6 months so that I don't get that extra $5 charge. But you may not have the money to do that. So I'm gonna say for the sake of argument, that the insurance is $40 a month. Okay, so what else might we have?
Retirement, are you trying to save for retirement too?
Retirement,
Or just
actually for me, my retirement money is taken out before, the $2,000 is theoretically a net pay amount, right? So they've already taken out retirement, federal income tax, insurance, health insurance.
So you don't add any more to retirement besides what's taken out?
Well, I do, but they still, but I still do it through the 401k here at work.
Okay.
I also have a stock portfolio, but it's not like that is huge and I'm in the Rockefeller class or anything of that nature. In fact, it's kind of funny because I actually have retirement through a 401k here, and I also have retirement through Texas A&M University system. And, you know, from time to time I think, oh, I ought to switch my A&M stuff into my 401k, or, but, you know, I'm lazy enough, I haven't done it. Oh, and I have a wee tiny baby retirement with the Ohio teachers retirement system. But we're talking like, I got a couple of thousand in that. They'll be paying me like 5 cents every month when I retire.
Oh my gosh.
Uh,
Miscellaneous, I guess you could add.
Miscellaneous, I actually, well, what I do is I actually, when I have a miscellaneous expense, like I go to Costco and I buy something or something like that, I'll keep a couple of open spaces here, and I'll put in, oh, all right, Costco, minus $120, and then I'll make a note, you know, that I put it on my credit card or something like that, right? Because one thing I do with my credit card is I account for every expense as I spend it, so that when the bill comes, I don't go, oh my God, $800? Because I hate when that happens. Right, I actually also have a professional category, right? Although I don't put very much in there. I put like $100 a month into that category. All right, so down here at the bottom, I am going to total it up, And boy, will I be, all right, so equals sum. I go ahead and just highlight all my, and you'll notice I left a couple of spaces here. Right, I've got a, and I also do a medical dental kind of thing. Because unlike you guys, I'm old. And that means a lot more trips to the doctor and the dentist. Although my advice is, keep your dental work up. I am really having some problems with my teeth because as a young man, often I was so poor, I couldn't go to the dentist when I needed to, and now I'm missing a lot of teeth as a result. Free advice and worth every penny. All right, so for example, I have to pay Gallup MedFlight every month because they once had to fly me out of Crown Point International Airport here. Right, so we'll call that $25 worth. All right, now I have these categories, but the way they are, they're not necessarily as useful because, for example, utilities, am I gonna send one $200 check to somebody? No, of course not. I'm gonna have to pay off NTUA, I'm gonna have to pay off Continental Divide, I'm gonna have to pay off Netflix, I'm gonna have to pay Frontier for my internet. So, what I do is I create down here a payee amount. And so all of these that I'm not going to pay in a lump sum, for example, my car payment, that might just be, an automatic withdrawal. In fact, when I've had a car payment in recent years, that's how I've done it. Although I always try not to have a car payment. Having a payment on your house is kind of a smart use of money. Your house is going to appreciate in value. Having a payment on a car is not a real good idea because cars go down in value. Unless you have a Rolls Royce. But I haven't seen any Rolls Royces pulling up to the Science and Tech building lately. All right, then I'm going to put all my categories that I pay out of a little bit at a time, right? So utilities, food and grocery, automotive, let's see, not insurance, professional, all right, so those are really the big ones. Now what I do is I put up front all my utilities. Oh, I forgot, I need to move all of these over one. Because what I want to do is make this automated. Right, so I'm gonna need a category thing. So all my utility stuff I put up front, so into UA, Continental Divide.
To move it over, do I click on right click, then do insert?
Well, what you can do is actually just highlight these, and then you see I've got a little four-way arrow there that lets me move it wherever I want.
Okay.
But yeah, I could have just come up here and done an insert, shift cells right,
Okay.
and put it in that way, right? Look, one of the great things about using Excel, about using Word, about using PowerPoint, there's usually not just two ways, but many ways to get where you want to go. All right, let's see, who else am I paying? I'm paying Frontier, Netflix. I want to say there's somebody else I pay utilities to, but why worry? All right, so all of these guys, I'm gonna have to pay some amount. So right here, I'm gonna go ahead and put utilities, right? Because all four of these are gonna come out of utilities. Eventually, I went to just putting all my utilities up at the top. Because before I was doing it, every time I would pay a utility bill, I would put it in, but then I'm like, you pay these guys every month, man. What's the deal? Oh, I know who I forgot. AT&T. Now, you'll notice if I hit U, it automatically goes ahead and fills in utilities. And that's very useful down the line. All right, so utilities, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put equals if, okay, when I use the if statement, it gives me the chance to say, if it's this, do this. If it's that, do something else. Right? So my logical test is if C22 equals utilities, then my value is going to be my value here, but up here it's negative, so I want to put negative the value of my utilities. Negative times negative is a positive. Minus, oh, need to be on the other side, minus the amount that I put in for NTUA. And the value, if false, is going to just be negative utilities. The utilities amount. All right, so I've made a mistake somewhere. Bum, 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 bum. All right. Maybe I don't have to put single quotes around utilities, no. maybe I have to put double quotes around utilities. Boy, I'm sure hoping I don't have to,
Yeah, it's double quotes.
I think it was Socrates who said, uh, the value of my intelligence lies in the fact that I know I don't know things. All right, so you'll notice there, it says 200.
Can you show us your formula again?
All right, so it's if C22, this cell, equals, quote, utilities, and you spell it exactly the same way here, end quote, comma, then it's, oh, okay. Still didn't go up enough. There we go. Then it's negative of this number, because this is a negative number, so we want it to be a positive number down there. So the negative of this negative number minus the amount that I put in here, comma, and if there's no number in here, it needs to just be negative of my negative utility number. Okay, so let me put in some amount. And we'll say it's winter time, and I give NTUA $100 for gas and water. And for my house, that's pretty typical in the winter time.
It's telling me I entered too many arguments for the function.
Well, how many arguments have you got in there? 500, 1,000?
30, I think.
All right, well, hit enter. Okay, would you expand it to be full size? All right. Oh, okay, take out that comma right there.
This one.
Yeah. All right, now hit enter.
Okay.
All right, now put in some amount to pay NTUA.
How much did you get for the amount? What was the formula for amount?
How did I get that number?
22, yeah.
Oh, I just made it up.
Oh, you did? So just
Yeah, it's not, right, all the action is gonna be happening over here as far as that goes.
Oh, okay.
All right, in fact, I'm gonna go ahead and do, accounting, format so that I see it as real numbers. Now, my next cell down, I have to change it a little bit. I'm gonna use the same logical idea, but I'm gonna say equals if, left parenthesis, my logical test is still if C23 equals utilities comma, now I'm gonna say my value if true is my previous cell, right, which is now $100, minus the amount paid to Continental Divide, comma, and if not, it's just going to be the previous amount, and close the parentheses. All right, so when you do a function in Excel, it always gives you this little prompt here that tells you what has to be in the function to make it work. And sometimes you can leave off the very last thing, but in this case, don't do it. All right, so if I put that I have to pay Continental Divide $50, see, now it's automatically going to deduct that $50. Right, and so on down the line. Now for food and groceries, we're just going to use the same idea. Equals if the logical test is C22 equals food slash groceries. Now one thing, oh, and I forgot to put the double quote. Put the double quote around it, comma, negative my food grocery amount minus the amount on the same row, or negative B11, which is my food grocery amount, and close. Now, does that, now that I've gone to a system where I always cram the utilities up front, that doesn't, it doesn't matter as much what I do on these, except that to make it neat and tidy, it's easier to do it this way. All right, and equals if, for automotive, if my category equals, oh, right, double quote, automotive, comma, negative, negative B3 minus the amount, otherwise it's negative B13, which is my automotive amount per month, and then close parenthesis. Right, and I just do the same thing, equals if C22 equals, double quote, professional, double quote, comma, negative, and where is my professional? There you go. B16 minus amount, comma, otherwise it's negative B16, close parenthesis. right? And then I'm gonna use the same logic I used here in, under utilities for these others. So equals if my category equals, double quote, food slash grocery, double quote, comma, my previous, the previous number minus amount, or just the previous number. Okay, now, I know this is a little bit complicated, but using if statements like this is useful not only in building a budget, but it can be used in other places when we use Excel. All right, so equals if, my logical test is if my category equals automotive, in quotations, comma, my previous amount minus the current amount, or just the previous amount. And under professional, if my category equals, double quote, professional, comma, previous amount minus the current amount, or just the previous amount. All right, now once I've done that, all I have to do is just carry these down, right, highlight them. Yes?
Can you show me the formula for G22 again, please?
G22, okay, right here, equals if, left parenthesis, my category, which in this case is C22, equals, double quote, professional, double quote, comma, minus my, minus the amount budgeted for professional, minus the amount that is the current amount, comma, or just minus the amount that's budgeted.
Okay, I got it, thank you.
I knew I could count on you, not like those others. Yes, sir?
Can you show me the formula for G23? I just need the last,
For G23,
yeah.
all right. As it happens, when I hit enter, it went right there. All right, so-
B22?
Oh, I'm sorry, B22?
It's G22 minus B23.
Oh, okay, well, look. First of all, your logical test is my category equal to professional, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, then G22 is just the cell before. You'll notice it highlights all the different cells that it's referencing when I click on the formula. All right, so if you ever have doubts about a formula, if you click on it, it'll show you where it's referencing. So if it is professional, it would take away money from that amount. But if it's not, we just leave it as the previous amount. All right, so, everybody up to speed as far as that goes? Now,
I need the formulas for automotive and professional, I got behind.
all right, it's gonna be the same logic. Do you need them for the first line or for,
Second line.
okay, so again, it's gonna be the same logic where it's going to test against the category if it says automotive, which in this case it doesn't, right? Then if it does say automotive, it's gonna be the previous amount minus the current amount. But otherwise, it's just going to be the previous amount, right? So you've got 3 sections under the if statement. The logical test, is this what we're looking at? The value if the logical test is true, and then the value if it's false. Okay, and this is only the very surface of if statements in Excel. Because they'll have, in Excel, you can use what's called an if count. Count if it's a certain number or a certain, above a certain value or below a certain value, whatever. If there's an error, I mean, there's all kinds of if statements. I'm not even scratching the surface of what we can do with if statements here. All right, and then under professional, it's gonna be the same idea. That we have our logical test, does our category equal professional? Then if that's true, we subtract our current amount from the previous amount. And if not, we just let the current amount carry on. Right, once I have all of those, the same logic goes the rest of the way down the sheet, however long it is. Right, so all I have to do is highlight everything and pull down my formulas, and it'll automatically update that for everyone. All right, so let's come down here and let's assume that I went and I got gas at Speedway. Right? So I say, all right, I paid money to Speedway and I paid $20. I put in my category automotive, and it automatically deducts $20 from automotive, right? And you know what? Then I went to a super fancy restaurant here in Crown Point. So Grandma's, and I bought myself dinner, and that was $15, right? And I'm gonna put that under food/grocery. Now, one thing, when you set up your budget, check and make sure that you put everything in right. Because, for example, if I had put automotive, but I accidentally put an extra letter in, it wouldn't deduct correctly, right? But now, if I go to Flying J and I spend $18 and I just put A, it'll already go ahead and put in automotive because it's already in the list and deduct that. Right? So usually when I get in trouble on my budget, when I've set it up like this, it's because like 1 month I'll have nothing I put against professional expenses. And then the next month I'll just put P thinking it's gonna put professional in, and it doesn't do it. Then I have to go, oh, wait, no professional expenses. Right, and what have we not done? Oh, we haven't done, all right, so let's say I order a book from McGraw-Hill, it's $95. And it'll automatically deduct that. But like I say, if I spelled professional with one S, you'll notice it doesn't deduct, right? So, I mean, computers are super fast, but they are not super smart. If you spell professional with one S, it can't say, like a human being would, oh, he meant professional, and go ahead and just deduct that. Okay, well, I don't know how much well, all right, so let's call this September 2020. Oh, only 2020, not 2022. Now, how I do my budget is I have a sheet like this for every month, right? So I want to get ready for October. I go to, I right-click on my tab, I go and I click on move or copy, move to end, and check the create a copy box. Right, that's gonna let me go ahead and create a new tab for October, right? And then I'm going to look and I'm going to say, all right, what has changed? Okay, my rent's the same, my pay is the same, my food and groceries, car payment, automotive, insurance. Costco, though, I'm not going to be spending that same amount. I can take that out. Gallup MedFlight, I'm going to end up paying the same there. So what I do is I then link things together. For example, All right, so I'm back on my September of 2020 tab here. Right, I go down and I'm gonna have various expenses. But down here at the end, I'm going to have an equals sum, and I'm gonna add up what's left over from all of these. And I have my total here, and let me just do some formatting here to make it a little easier to read. That's the whole reason that we do all these formatting things. We're always looking to make something so it's easy to look at, easy to understand, easy to read. All right, so just putting a little thing here kind of highlights where my total is. Right? One thing that I might want to do is go ahead and insert a row up here at the top in front of monthly pay. And this can be,
Are you in your September or October?
I'm in September. Right? This can be my remaining balance from my previous month. Right? In this case, I'm going to say that's 0. We assume that we're starting with a clean slate in November, September, whatever the hell month this is. Right? So in fact, having made these changes, and I'm gonna make a couple more, like I'm gonna put a line under these. I like the little double line for underlining these things, but use what you feel comfortable with, right? But again, always our goal is to make it as easy to read our what we make and as easy to follow the logic as possible. All right, so I'm actually now going to delete my original October sheet because I want to go ahead and do move or copy on September, move to the end, and create a new October, right? So I rename it, so it now says October. Now, what I am going to do is I'm going to go ahead and on remaining balance, I'm going to say equals, go to my September, it's going to equal the total that's left over from the month plus my remaining balance of all my category expenses down here. All right, then I'm going to hit enter. So then it's going to bring that money forward to the next month. Right? Now you really hope, you really want for the remaining balance not to be a negative one. That's what we might call double plus ungood. Oh, and one thing I have to do here is go ahead and clear these, right? Because October is going to have its own expenses that are going to be coming up. Right? And usually I just clear the amounts. I don't bother clearing all this stuff out. right? Because the first thing that I do this month is I might go to grandma's again, right? And I take my girlfriend, so it costs me $35. I do have to remember, though, to once again go food and grocery and not leave it on automotive. Oh, okay. Now, one thing on October is, you'll notice it still says the total is 165. It's not adding in the $817 left from last month, right? So I want to go ahead and adjust that and make sure that B9 turns into B8 so that that number is included.
What sheet are you on?
I'm on the October sheet.
Okay.
I realize it's not super easy to see. I have considered actually doing this with the lights out, but then that might make it hard for you guys to be typing and everything. And of course, my goal is to make this as easy as possible. Okay, so it looks like Morgan is the, Winter is the only one. Sorry, Winter, for some reason, I thought your first name was Morgan there for a minute. Is the only one on, I should have told everyone there would be a midterm test, or they would all be on right now. But, oh well. All right, so let me go ahead and ask, are there any questions? Do y'all see how all of this works together? Have you been able to make it work for yourselves? If not, now is a great time to say so.
Mr. White,
Yes, Winter, what's going on?
on my side, all my formulas are giving me errors.
Okay,
I don't know if maybe tomorrow we can meet so that I can try to fix it.
sure, that would be fine. And what I'll do is, I'll meet with you tomorrow. I should be around pretty much all day except from like 10 to 12. I've got to do the radio show and then I'll have lunch. But I should be around the rest of the day so that you can come by and we can figure out what's going on with your formulas.
Yeah, I think it would be hard to do. But I'll be around afternoon.
Well, this is the first time we've attempted to do this class other than everybody here in the classroom all the time. So I think we're going to find some little interesting aspects to that, like this one. All right, so guys, I am going to go ahead and call it a class on this. As per usual, please go ahead and send me the file, and we'll and we'll work from there.
Can you scroll upwards? Trying to put the values.
You're trying to take the value?
No, I'm looking at the values that you had. Okay.
Is there a way I can watch this lecture again?
Yes, the video that I've been taking while we've done this is going to be posted on Moodle. So yeah, if you want to watch the lecture again, correct some things that you may have missed the first time,
Okay,
then you'll be able to do that.
okay. All right, thank you.
All right, thanks so much. Okay, Winter, I will see you tomorrow. Have fun. And I'm going to go ahead and sign off now.
Okay, see you tomorrow, bye.
Bye.